proceed with the full examination, or at least hopefully my legal friend is going to state these, that Mr. Esau is in a better mental state today.
Thank you.
Please, Your Lordship, I take it from appeals and from the second appeal. I go ready to proceed.
Thank you.
As they clear the quotas and for the statement, Mr. President.
Thank you and good morning to all. Mr. Esau, good morning. If it makes you comfortable being seated, please, you can just remain seated throughout. Yes, I wish there was a lower table, but it's fine. Let's utilize what we have. Mr. Altivez, you may proceed.
As they clear the court. Mr. Esau, at the last session, you recall that with regard to the Namgoma scheme, you denied that your in-laws, Mr. Temson Atuilipi, Mr. James Atuilipi, and the other co-accused persons, Mr. Ricardo Gustavo, Mr. Sakia Shangala, were involved in negotiations with officials from the government of Angola with regard to the signing of the MOU. You recall that?
Correct,
oh, okay. Oh, okay. What I'll do now, I'm going to show you a few of the documents which illustrate that, contrary to your vehemence, they were in actual fact involved. All right? Can you take us to your exhibit file? Exhibit R1 divider 15. Okay, just give me a minute. Divider 15. Are you there?
Correct,
And what we have there is a letter from Mr. Sakia Shangala.
Correct, my lord.
Addressed to Mr. Johannes Stephenson.
Correct, my lord.
In July 2013, 28 July 2013.
Correct, my lord.
This was the following month after you came from Angola on the fact-finding mission with Mr. Shangala. Is that correct?
Correct, my lord.
All right. And the title of that document is Opportunity Angola. Is that correct?
Correct, my lord.
Now, the message Mr. Shangala had conveyed to Mr. Stephenson,
Correct, my lord.
he states there that you may notice that I'm corresponding to you directly without consulting James and Fiti as yet. You see that?
Correct, my lord.
All right. And you know from the contents of the dockets that the James being referred to here is James Atuilipi and Mr. Temson Atuilipi as Fiti.
Correct, my lord.
All right. Until further notice, he says, until further notice, that is, until I inform you. He says that please do not share this document. I am only sharing it with the minister as he still needs to discuss with his counterpart. You see that?
Correct, my lord.
And he goes on to say, please make input into it so that he can understand the deal, and I will extract from it something I need to send my counterpart by Monday. You see that?
Correct, my lord.
And then he says, tentative meeting Saturday next. Therefore, please look into it and we can converse, or you can simply adjust it so I can print and give the minister tomorrow at breakfast. And by the time I get into the, okay, I cannot make out that word, but it says we know how to go, and you can inform, in parentheses, I will copy them, James and 50 on the way forward. You see that?
Correct, my lord.
All right. And you were aware that these documents were also in the possession of the state witness, Mr. Stephenson, who explained what these documents are?
Correct, my lord.
Okay.
Objection, my lord. The witness is not aware of that. There is an aspect, the ground of objection that is raised earlier when he testified. To the document itself, he said he presented this document on the presence that is not authenticated. That was his earlier testimony. And he highlighted the reason why he's saying these documents were not authenticated. That is how I recall the testimony.
Let me just hear, because it sounds different from how he's putting it. May you just respond to what Mr. Biekas is saying?
Yes, Your Lordship, I posed the question to him, and he answered the question. The question was simply this. He's aware from the disclosure in the docket that these documents were in the possession of the witness, Johannes, and he said it's correct.
Yes, and to some extent that does not really touch or deal with the issue of authenticity. It's just whether he is aware that Mr. Stephenson was in possession of this document. That is the question. And he has responded.
Yes, he did. He said it's correct.
Yes.
All right. And in terms of these documents, you are aware that what Mr. Stephenson is alleging, the minister was involved here. It's you as the Minister of Fisheries.
I
My learned friend is twisting the evidence here. And the reason why I'm saying he's twisting the evidence, there is no affidavit provided by Mr. Stephenson explaining these particular documents and the involvement of the parties in these documents. He is not alleging that. Mr. Stephenson is not alleging that. These are documents that was obtained from the service in Iceland, my lord. No affidavit was tendered, an explanation was tendered by Mr. Stephenson relating to the contents of these particular documents. And the witness earlier testified to say that why he feels these documents was tendered with is because of simple facts that if you look at the custodian of the so-called document and with the author, if this document is on top, it differs. He also said that the time from which the email was sent and the time at which it was later sent, that also differs. So it would have been impossible for these documents to be sent. He further on went to testify during examination in chief that these are correspondence between these parties that he is not aware of, but what he wanted to inform the court on this aspect is that he was not even in town and meeting at an airport as per this particular email, and he provided documents attached there to copies of his itinerary and his passport, and we even had to bring in his original passport for the court's convenience. So in essence, my lord, the true evidence was placed in court and from the docket. That is not what Mr. Johannes Stephenson is saying in any of his statements, as it pleases the court.
Okay, Mr. Activating.
Your Lordship, counsel has the docket. It has been disclosed to him. And he knows the manner in which the evidence was collected is different. There were emails which were collected by the auditors. There was also a statement provided by Mr. Stephenson explaining his involvement. This document, titled Opportunity Angola, and the email from Mr. Shangala is attached to Mr. Stephenson's statement. It's exactly the same document, which was also retrieved by the auditors. So there's, in actual fact, I can still produce the one attached to Stephenson's statement. It makes no difference. The wording is exactly the same. So on that basis, that's why I asked him if he's aware of it. Now, if he is aware of it, he can answer he's aware of it. If he's not aware of it, he can inform the court he's not aware of it. I'll put the state's version, obviously, to him, and I will elaborate in more detail these documents, Your Lordship. But if he's not aware of it, he can inform the court he's not aware of it. But it forms part of Mr. Stephenson's statement, and he explains.
Yes,
this email.
I hear what you are saying.
Yes,
I
yes,
see
yes.
Mr. Biekas wants to say something.
Mr. Biekas, my lord, the difference between my learned friend and I is not per se to the attached document. His question now was premised on the email as to what Mr. Johannes Stephens is saying contained in the body of this particular email. And we've explained and we've submitted that in all of Mr. Johannes Stephenson's affidavits, it does not refer to this email or any of the plethora of emails that are E41, the ones that we've challenged the confidentiality on. This email was disclosed by the witness, my lord, to establish the veracity of this particular document and to show that this document has been tampered with. So what my learned friend is putting to the witness is that Mr. Johannes Stephenson, on the basis of this email, this is how he's alleging this conspiracy. That is not their involvement. That is not what Mr. Stephenson is saying in any of his statements that he provided to the Anti-Corruption Commission, my lord. If he wants to deal with the attached document, then he can deal with it separately. But he said nothing about this, so my learned friend is just purely speculating.
All right, let me see if I understand well. You are saying, Mr. Biekas, that the witness, Mr. Esau, is not privy to this email, the content of the email. Yes. But he saw or he have seen the affidavit by Mr. Stephenson where he talks about the attached document. Because that's how I understand the state to be putting it, to say there's an affidavit by Mr. Stephenson who talks about the document Opportunity Angola. And they are saying it's part of the disclosure that was disclosed to the defense, and Mr. Esau is aware of it. So I just want, because if you are saying either it was not disclosed or he's not aware of it, that's a different matter. Then they may need to present it if it has not been presented. But if it's about the email itself that was sent, because this appears to be an email from Sakeus Shangala to Johannes Stephenson, if you are taking it on that basis to say it's just the email that he is not privy to, that's a different aspect.
No, my lord.
Yes.
The objection was premised on the fact that the manner within which my learned friend asked the question
Yes.
was premised on the email,
Okay.
as is to what that is what Johannes Stephenson alluded to. He
Let-
did not
let's-
discuss anything of this particular emails in any of his affidavits.
Okay.
That is what I'm saying.
Let's see if he can rephrase,
Yes.
because I think then he may understand what you are saying. You may proceed, Mr. Utibes.
As it please the court, Your Lordship. Mr. Esau, are you of the view that this email and the document accompanying it, that Opportunity Angola, is not discussed by Mr. Stephenson in his affidavit?
Mr. Esau, please just be seated.
Yeah. My Lord, this very email was disclosed with the disclosures after my first bail application, but not prior to that. So I was not even aware of this very email. But I did testify in my evidence in chief, because it was part of my submissions, where I testified that I was not aware of the content of this very email, where in fact Mr. Shangala wrote to Stephenson on a Sunday, July 28, 2013, because the content, which is Opportunity Angola, was never shared with me, in the sense that on the 28th of July, I was not in Angola. The morning, the breakfast tomorrow, that was supposed to be the 29th. To be brief, I never knew about that very matter. And I did testify on that in my evidence in chief, whereby I have also brought proof that I was not the following day in Angola. That's the 29th of August. And I brought my passport here. And I also, my lord, I think a copy was attached, and then it was again verified. That is R4, which was attached to this very evidence. So, in terms of what my Master Lukumbesi counsel is trying to validate the involvement of negotiations, because the question was whether involved in negotiations the people here were the co-accused. James, Fiti, and the others were never involved in the negotiations for an agreement or MOU or a protocol. They were never even involved. The delegation that went to Angola July 2013 was just a delegation, the minister, the PS, and Shangala and other people. Those ones were delegations of my principal advisor, the PS, then the late Madame Ulitara Rivera. It was her delegation, because she is the principal advisor and she had advisors with her.
All right. So are you saying that Mr. Shangala could not have shared any documents with you at this stage because you were not around?
My lord, I'm trying to stand just to...
Yes.
I was not shared with a document of Opportunity Angola by Mr. Sakius Edward Shangala, because in his email he's saying that tomorrow I will brief the minister. Or what he's saying here, can we print and give the minister tomorrow at breakfast? And I was not present to discuss even Opportunity Angola, because I was not geared towards Opportunity Angola. I was geared towards a review of the old protocol of 2007, the issue of...
You may just pause there. Is your question on the basis that this document was intended to be presented to the minister in Angola and while Mr. Shangala was in Angola?
To the minister?
Yes.
Yes, to him,
yes.
Not while in Angola.
Yes, because he's asking whether you are saying that Mr. Shangala could not have shared with you this document because you were not present.
Correct.
Okay.
And that I testified on as well in the evidence in chief.
All right.
You may proceed.
So then you accept that what he's saying here, that he was going to share a document with you. You deny that there was no document which was shared with you, is that correct? And basically, that's what you denied.
Because I was not present there,
Yes.
my lord.
But you appreciate that from the email that was sent to Stephenson, not only is he saying in this email that a discussion needs to take place with you with regard to the opportunity in Angola, but he also mentions the discussion with your in-laws, Mr. James Hatugilipi and Mr. Fiti Hatugilipi, regarding the same document.
My lord, I did testify already on this matter, that in terms of the involvement of the others who are not government officials, there was no involvement, my lord, of the two in terms between them and me to tap from the opportunity Angola. No, there was no discussions with me and them and with the author of this very document as well.
Which author? Mr. Shangala?
Sagala. Yeah, there was no discussions.
Okay. Okay, I want to get this very clear from you. So you are saying there was no discussion between Mr. James Atkwilipi, Mr. Temson Atkwilipi, and Mr. Shangala regarding the signing of the MOU, this opportunity Angola?
And myself, my lord, and myself.
Yes, you spoke for yourself. Then you spoke for Mr. Shangala. You said that there was no discussion between Mr. Shangala, Mr. Temson Atkwilipi, and Mr. James Atkwilipi regarding this project.
And me.
Okay.
I'm just not sure here whether maybe you'll come to it or it will become clear at a certain stage whether this document has anything to do with the MOU for Angola, whether it's related to that or it's a peripheral issue or it's...
It's related, Your Lordship. I'm coming to that now. That's why I want to establish from him.
All right.
If he maintains that version that Mr. Sakia Shangala, Mr. James Atkwilipi, Mr. Temson Atkwilipi were not involved. There was no discussion amongst themselves regarding this opportunity in Angola.
Okay.
You want to say something?
My lord, I've testified on it already. I said the involvement of the three with me on Opportunity Angola, subject matter of this thing, was not there between me and them. If they had discussions amongst themselves, it is not me to come and say that I was part of that. I've never been part of these discussions of Opportunity Angola. Not at all, my lord.
Yes, that is clear.
Now, I just want to take you to the next page. There was an attachment to this email which was sent to Mr. Stephenson, marked as R2. And it is also titled Opportunity Angola. You see that?
Is it R2 now?
Yes, Your Lordship.
Yes.
Just the next page.
Yes.
In the first paragraph, it says that the Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources of the Republic of Namibia and the Minister of Fisheries of the Republic of Angola agreed to reciprocally invite a private sector participant from each of the countries, from each other country to exploit resources as a joint venture effort in the respective countries within the framework of the laws of the respective countries. You see that?
I see that, my lord.
Okay. And in the MOU that was signed, this was part of the agreement according to your evidence.
In the MOU, my lord, there was business opportunities. I think, let me just get back. So trade facilitation. I want to go to the MOU because my lord makes the state is making reference to a section in the MOU. Article 8, I think. Yeah, cooperation in business. Heading, it's under Divider 6. Divider 6. Protocol on fisheries and aquaculture. And it reads, my lord, the parties shall encourage the formation of mutual beneficial business relations between corporate bodies involved in marine fishing, processing, aquaculture, to the extent possible within the policy and legal frame existing in each of the parties. the parties shall take measures to ensure that their vessels comply with all the applicable laws and regulations. This is in fact the capture of this article. It's cooperation in business. And in terms of this very note, concept, or this opportunity, Angola, this was never authored or even known to me as a then minister what was brewing behind me and the others who were involved maybe in tapping from the opportunity or on cooperation in business. I was not aware of that one, my lord, and I testified on that one.
Mr. Esau, so are you saying there was no agreement as stipulated under point 1?
My lord, there was no agreement between me and the minister in terms of concept number 1 of this opportunity, Angola.
Okay. And if we go a bit further, under corporate and legal matters,
Corporate, yes.
paragraph 5, it says principally JV is between Namibian and Angolan nationals. This is within the context of the SADC protocol on fisheries. Paragraph 7, it says the Angolan contact will create an Angolan legal entity into which the Namibian company and the Angolan contact will own equity. This will be the Angolan JV. You see that? Mm-hmm. Were there any discussions, as far as you know, of the creation of an Angolan joint venture company?
Not at all, my lord.
Okay.
I was not aware of that. I know that that was now in July 2013.
All right. But you appreciate from the communication from Mr. Shangala to Mr. Stephenson that they are discussing matters concerning ministries of fisheries in Angola and Namibia.
My lord, Master Shangala was not the Minister of Fisheries.
Yes.
And he cannot discuss on behalf of the minister or the ministry on fisheries-related matters. He cannot discuss that because he was not either a deputy minister or a PS in the Ministry of Fisheries.
Yes. Now, what I'm trying to illustrate to you is that these people are the people who were involved in negotiations with your Angolan counterparts. Let's move on.
My lord, I need clarity on this matter of when the state is asking or saying that these people were involved in the negotiations, if I can remember, of this very agreement. I'm stating once more again, my lord, these people, which is referred to as James and Fidi, were not involved in the negotiations for a MOU or for an instrument. The PS has been shepherding this, our then PS was the shepherd of this very MOU. And I want to make it categorically clear, my lord. In 2012, just to give information to our court today, rights were given locally in Namibia for Namibians. After the rights were given, as the PS then, we had to look into our relations with other SADC countries and other, in terms of bilateral and things like that. I went to Mozambique at one stage with her. Second one, I went to Angola as well to ascertain, to look at our framework agreement. They were not party to that to those things. When I went to Angola, the PS have put up her delegation to accompany me, she as the principal advisor to the minister, then. And I was in the hands of the PS as my principal advisor. Whoever advised the PS then, the team which was there, in fact, like the Deputy Director of Policy Planning, the Shagala, who was part of that, was in fact put up by the PS, and I was briefed on that one, but not to discuss the detail of Opportunity Angola.
Do you still have, yes, do you still have the bundle of documents that were provided to you by the state?
I have the,
All right, can you just go to page 790 of that document?
790. Correct.
All right. And you see that there's an email contained on that page from Mr. Sakia Shangala,
Okay, yes,
sent on 19 September 2013
correct.
to Mr. Joao de Barros,
Just repeat the page number.
790. And do you know who that is?
Who's that?
Joao de Barros.
My Lord, it is a very, for me, if the people come in now, I won't know whether that one is Joao de Barros or this one is Joao de Barros. I will just pick it up from the documentation here. Who is Joao de Barros? But I will not know him physically, that this is Joao de Barros. Maybe I met him, but I don't know whether it was the Joao de Barros I met.
Okay. Is there Joao de Barros that you knew of during this discussion of the MOU?
Joao de Barros.
Did you meet anyone by that name during
No,
the
no,
discussions?
I can't recall meeting such a person. Maybe I met, but I won't know whether it's the Joao de Barros or this is a Francisco or whoever, in terms of this very copies or two to who, yeah.
And the person Francisco Antonio Santos, do you know that person?
I might not know, my Lord, these people are Angolans from the names you can see. I cannot really, as a minister, I'm meeting a lot of people. People are introduced, for me it's just, I know them for, maybe take note of them. These are the delegations from Angola. Otherwise I don't have any business with them.
All right.
My business is not with them.
Okay. Apart from them, this email was also forwarded to Mr. James Atuilipi and Mr. Ricardo, you see that. And CC Mr. Johannes Stephenson.
I see the emails, my Lord.
All right.
I see the names.
And the subject matter, Namgoma Pesca essay notes. You see that?
Subject, Namgoma Pesca essay notes, yes.
All right. And the content of this email, it says that, dear gentlemen, please find the herein enclosed annotated document for your action. We will be in Luanda during October 16, 17, 2013 and look forward to meeting as a group. Permit me to introduce Joao de Barros, son of the Minister of Fisheries of Angola. Joao, I look forward to engaging with you and welcome to the team. Let's make this happen. You see that?
I see that in the email.
All right.
Which is,
So the person being introduced here is the son of the Minister of Fisheries in Angola.
Objection, my lord. My learned finish now delving into an area where the witness has no knowledge of. The witness is not an author of this document, he's not a custodian of this document, he's not a recipient of this document, and he's now being asked questions on a document that he has no knowledge of. So how fair would that be to the witness? Let the authors, custodians, and the recipient of this document then come and testify on it. It's unfair towards the witness because you would now be speculating on a document as to what is the intention, what was meant to be done in this evening. It's not for him to answer these questions, man, and it's unfair.
Your Lordship, first and foremost, the state needs to put its version to the accused person. And apart from that, if counsel is being genuine that it is unfair to put this document to this witness because there's no knowledge of it. That counsel should not have introduced these emails as exhibits in their bundle of documents where Mr. Esau is not quoted. We just dealt right now with Exhibit R1, the email between Mr. Shangala and Mr. Stephenson. He said he had no knowledge of this document, but he was allowed to testify on it in evidence in chief. Now, all of a sudden, when the state has to produce documents favorable to their case, counsel wants to object to the introduction of those documents. No, my lord, it does not work in that way. We have our version. We need to put our version to the accused person. If he cannot answer on it, he can say that. But I have to put my version to him, your lordship.
Are the documents relevant to these proceedings?
Very relevant, your lordship.
He's being able to answer, and he has been answering. What does not relate to him, he has been indicating that he has no knowledge.
Yes, your lordship.
Yes, you may proceed.
Yes, it is a court. All right. You see that in this document, the person being introduced is Mr. Joa de Barros, the son of the Minister of Fisheries in Angola. Is that correct?
It's not, my lord, he's not introduced to me as the then minister. And this document does not have any relevance to me. If companies or people who have interest
that's actually clear. The way you have just put it is clear. He can move on to his next question.
Yes. So we have an email here where the son of the Minister of Fisheries in Angola, with whom you signed the Memorandum of Understanding, is involved. And your son-in-law is also copied in this email. Is that correct?
My lord, I don't represent my son-in-law, neither is my son-in-law representing me. And neither is Barros or Joa de Barros an interest to me in this very matter.
Okay. Now, this email was accompanied by an attachment. Has contained at page 791, titled Summary and Action Points Post-Meeting Held September 18, 2013, Minister of Fisheries, Luanda, Angola. You see that?
Correct, my lord.
All right. And there's a discussion there regarding the establishment of a JV company.
Yes, I see the heading.
In the first paragraph, they stipulate that the JV company will be named soon by the Angolan counterparts. Dan Namgoma Pesca SA is the name. You see that?
I see.
Okay. So this document, which was forwarded to the son-in-law, to the son of the Minister of Fisheries in Angola, and to your son-in-law, had a discussion regarding Namgoma Pesca SA. Now, Mr. Esau, when an entity was nominated, this is the same entity that you nominated under the fisheries agreement, as you call it. Is that correct? Namgoma Pesca SA.
My lord, after being briefed by my then PS, based on a letter dated, I think, 18th December 2013, in fact, and referred that letter to the PS office, I was briefed, and that name was also provided to me for nomination by the office of the PS letter. And I was just a signatory to that very nomination on the prepared letter for the attention of my counterpart, as protocol dictates that a PS cannot write to a minister. It was minister to minister, as I was briefed, my lord. And that is the same whenever our president is writing, he writes to a president. He doesn't write to a minister of another country. And that's a protocol that dictates, in fact, for me to have signed off that letter of nomination.
Yes, you've explained that so many times. I'm not going to
Correct.
go backwards to that. I just wanted to highlight that this entity being discussed with your son-in-law is the entity that was subsequently nominated by you.
My son,
In paragraph 2, it continues, the Angolan counterparts request the signatories from Namibia and the special purpose vehicle that will take ownership in the JV. Ricardo Gustavo, James Atwilipi, Temson Atwilipi, to action, scan and dispatch to Mr. Santos and Joa de Barros ASAP. You see that?
I see that,
All right.
but that doesn't mean, my lord, that as a minister, if people are involved in putting up vehicles to get into fishing, that automatically I am represented by them. My son-in-law was not a business partner to me in whatever sense.
No,
Neither are people peace.
I'll connect the dots for you at a later stage. First, let's deal with these issues. And it goes on to say that the JV will procure services of some heritage vessels, Johannes Stephenson, to prepare the catch agreement. You see that? You see that?
I see, yes, sir.
And from the disclosed docket, you are aware that there was a catch agreement between the Samherdi Group and Corporate Investments, which changed its name to Namgoma Pescas.
As per the disclosure,
Yes.
there was a catch agreement, but all what I want to add, my lord, is that I was not party to these actions or the actions taken by these parties, the co-accused.
All right. If we skip on to paragraph 5, it says that the Icelandic partners provide information on the dimensions, specifications, category of vessels to Angolan counterparts for honored consideration by the Minister of Fisheries Angola. You see that? For possible exemption.
I see, my lord, I am reading
Okay.
together, following what is read.
In paragraph 6, it says quota is issued to vessel, hence minister requires visitation of Dr. Francisco Antonio Santos and another colleague to visit Namibia and Iceland during October 2013. You see that?
Correct?
Okay. In your evidence, in relation to this MOU, you testified that some of the purpose for this MOU is job creation. You spoke about food security and exporting the fish to Angola. Is that correct?
Correct, my lord?
It's correct.
Food security.
Oh, okay. You said that was the purpose of signing. Now, can you go to paragraph 8 of that document? It says that Minister of Fisheries interested in job creation, which you've confirmed, export of products as well as enhancement of food security, which you've confirmed. So before the signing of that MOU, your son-in-law was involved in these discussions with Mr. Shangala. You can see from this document regarding matters of the MOU.
My lord, let them come and testify on their behalf.
No.
I'm testifying here as a former minister.
Yes. Now, I just want to highlight to you that they were involved in the MOU and Namgoma project. That's what I want to highlight to you first before I connect you to this. And then it goes at the bottom, required of Namibian authorities. You see that? It says that the authorities ought to finalize the cooperation agreement for the consideration of the Angolan authorities and usage of such as the basis for issuance of quota directly per Section 35 of the Marine Resources Act 2000. The two ministers would sign by delegation of powers usually issued to the ministers by the President or Minister of Foreign Affairs. You see that?
Yes, my lord, I see.
Okay. So the cooperation agreement that you eventually signed the following year has been discussed here with your son-in-law and the others?
My Lord, I want the minutes of the meeting of October 2013. That was here in Windu. In terms of the MOU, that meeting was the result of a draft agreement. And I want to know who was in attendance of that meeting, because I'm saying that there are gaps in the disclosures of this very process of getting to the MOU that was signed in June 2014.
All right. So apart from the discussion on the MOU in terms of the Marine Resources Act, this is the Namibian Act being referred to, is that correct? Section 35 of Act 2000. Yes?
For sure, this is what was captured in this very summary.
Okay. And then you even testify that you were mandated by the president, empowered by the president to go and sign that MOU, is that correct?
Correct. It was between me and the head of state,
Oh, okay.
president.
Okay.
Not between me and them.
Okay. Now, Mr. Esau, only if you're in a position to, are you in a position to explain the coincidence of these co-accused person knowing that you'll have to be mandated by the president?
My Lord, in terms of the coincidence of what is reflected in this very summary and action points, my testimony is that I was not party or sharing any information with them on actions that is to be taken pertaining to the conclusion of this very MOU or agreement. I've never shared with them the information. If they got information through my principal advisor, for sure, let them come and testify on that. Because I was not party. I've never had meetings with them pertaining to the MOU, or one-on-one, neither with Saki, neither with James, neither with Fiti. My Lord, what I was assigned to as a minister was between me and the appointing authority, and not between me and them.
Okay. And then if you can move on to page 794. There are also, there's a summary Angola Namibian project.
Yes, I mean, my Lord.
Okay. Okay, in actual fact, it starts from page 793.
It's blank. 793.
The email from Mr. Olasen, sent on 26 November 2013 to Mr. Stephenson, Mr. Tihat Wilipi, GMO 6, Mr. Joa de Barros. There's an email there to Santos, Saki. You see that? Do you see that?
I see this, my Lord.
Okay. Do you dispute that the email GMO 6 is Mr. James Atugilipi's email?
My Lord, I don't have the emails of the people. I never was in communication with them.
All right. And Saki 1, you dispute that is Mr. Shangala's email?
My Lord, let them come and testify on these matters, because I am not, in fact, I never had a diary of their emails as well.
Okay.
They have my phones as well, my devices.
Yeah, okay. And the attachment there, summary Angola Namibia project, is that correct?
This is what this email which I'm seeing now, because I don't scrutinize this matter.
All right. And
But
then
I don't read.
you've not read them.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, okay, what you do with the disclosure, it's up to you. That is we provided it to you, what you do with it is up to you. It says here is the meeting summary regarding our project in Angola, Namibia. You see that?
Yes, my lord.
All right. And then the document is attached there to it, page 794.
So, yes, my lord.
The next page, Your Lordship. It's 794 at the top, just the next page.
Yes, my lord.
You mean 795? Because I thought you were on 794. Now I hear you talking about. Oh,
my apologies.
it was the email.
Yes, I was initially on 794. I went back to 793.
Oh yes, I see.
Now we just want to go to 794 where
Yes,
this attached document for the email is contained.
Okay.
You see the attached document that was sent on this email?
This one, my lord.
Yes. Summary of the meetings is depicted in the email.
Correct, my lord.
And you see on Namibia, it's indicated there is Saki, Thompson, and James. And Angola, Joa dos Santos. You see that?
I see that, my lord.
And under Namibia, the step 1, Sea Frozen, SPV, Namgoma Pesca SA.
Correct, my lord, I see.
Okay. Let's move on. I want to take you to page 861 of the bundle. You just go to the second bundle that was provided to you. Second. Um, 861.
I see that, my lord.
Okay.
I'm there.
Okay. You appreciate that these are the minutes of the meeting with the Minister of Fisheries in Angola. You appreciate that?
Objection. I know generally we would like to say that we would appreciate that, but normally minutes are signed off by the parties that attended to that minute to confirm the authenticity of those particular minutes, and that is the premise upon which we object, my lord. Not saying it's relevant, one cannot confirm or deny that it's minutes if they are not signed off. Because that would confirm that these are the actual true reflection of the minutes. Otherwise, one cannot establish the true purport and reflection of minutes if they are not signed by the parties that attended to a particular minutes. There is not only good corporate governance, there is also in terms of the Companies Act. Minutes that are being taken, I mean, any minute that we attend.
Is it an objection on?
It's an objection,
on a
my lord,
basis,
yes.
on a
So-
point of law, or
No.
because it's something that he could have answered, unless it's is an aspect of the law.
My learned friend is referring to it as minutes, and you wish to confirm the witness to respond to that. And I'm saying that if they can't be construed as minutes, then there's nothing that the witness can testify on them, because they do not conform to actual minutes.
Okay. Well,
And also, you wasn't even present at this. But you can testify on that one, as please the court.
Your Lordship, this is a bail application. The rules of evidence are relaxed in a bail application. I'm referring to these as minutes because this is what they are titled as, minutes, and this is what they were provided by the witness who provided them as minutes. I'll refer him to the
so your response to the objection is to say, for these purposes, it should be accepted that they are minutes,
Yes, Your Lordship.
even if they are not minutes.
That would be an argument during the trial itself.
It's
Because I know the issue which he has raised now is the issue of all the parties not signing this document. But this document is a document that was in custody of a witness who provided this document. He can testify on the authenticity of the document itself. Maybe the issue of not signing may affect the weight of the document, but it will not render it inadmissible, Your Lordship. Because we are not dealing with the companies at this stage. We are dealing with individuals who are involved in negotiations. But I can rephrase the question for purposes of these proceedings, just to get things moving along.
yes, we may do that.
As it plays a call. Okay, I will not rely on the word minutes. As the document itself is titled, you see that it's indicated there that it's the meeting memos of the Angolan visit 15 to 22 January 2014.
My Lord, I can see on the heading of this page 861, Angola visit 15 to 22 January 2014, meeting memos.
Okay. And there's a reference there in the middle of the document, meeting at the Minister of Fisheries, Angola. You see that?
I see it, my Lord, with my eyes now.
All right. And you also appreciate the participants who are depicted there is the Minister of Fisheries in Angola, Honorable Dr. Victoria Neto Barros.
My Lord, I can see that, but I'm not here to validate such
Yes.
kind of documentation
All right.
of the meeting or content whatsoever.
Okay. The other members are Antonio of Fatepa, Namgoma, Angolan side. And 2 lines under that, it says that Antonio is consulting the minister. You see that?
Can you which bullet is that, my Lord?
Under participants,
Yes.
the second dark bullet,
Mhm.
and then the second light one.
Yeah, I see, my Lord. I can see.
That
I can see.
Yes, that he is consulting the minister. This is the same Antonio who had written a letter to you with Mr. Shangala.
My Lord, I cannot, as I've said, Antonio, is it Santos Antonio or is it, what is it, Antonio Francisco? Because I don't know which Antonio is talking about here. But I know there were Antonios, there were Santos, which I saw in the, my Lord, in this.
Fine, I hear your response.
Yeah, because I am not so clear on this one.
Yes.
All right. And then there's Joa, Namgoma, Angolan side, the Saki, Namgoma, Angolan side, James, Namgoma, Angolan side, Temse, Namgoma, sorry, for Saki, James, Temson, Ricardo, they all appear for Namgoma, Namibian side. You see that?
My Lord, I want to testify that I am not here to validate this very content of these memos, or meeting memos.
Okay. And then there's Mr. Johannes for some hearing and Mr. Sigi for some hearing. At the next page, page 862, you see that Mr. Shangala, the person you were traveling with on 2 occasions to Angola, also spoke on behalf of Namgoma. It says there that he went through the presentation, Namgoma Pesca English presentation, Angolan minister. You see that?
I see that in this document disclosed.
Okay. And then it says after the visit, we can come up with a business plan on how we can assist Eddie Pesca. And then it goes on to say that ministers can then give their blessings. You see that?
I see that.
Yeah, okay. Under Johannes and Sigi, the last bullet point, it says, then we invited the minister to Iceland to see what Samheri stands for. It will be honor to receive both ministers from Angola and Namibia next summer if possible. This will be done through Saki. You see that?
I can see that, my lord.
Oh, okay. So in instance, what is being said here, Mr. Shangala was the one who was connected to you and was going to be doing things. Things were going to be done through him. You are disputing that.
My lord, Shangala was never even connected to me, as I have already testified. Shangala was a law reform, the chairperson of the Law Reform Commission, Law Reform and Development Commission. And I never had, in fact, interactions between me and Shangala while in Angola or here at home. He was, in fact, a person, a civil servant, if I put it that way. He was not a public servant, he was a civil servant. He was not a member of parliament, he was not a member of cabinet, he was a civil servant in the Ministry of Justice, to my understanding. Because the law reform and development is under the Ministry of Justice. And that, in fact, is the purview of my principal advisor, the permanent secretary, who has composed the delegation, whom she wanted to be part of the delegation, who will accompany the minister. Now, I know, my lord, I don't want to implicate or incriminate myself here. The issue here is that people who are sometimes in delegations of ministers, they do their things. They don't, and the minister won't know what is happening at the back of their mind. I mean, what is happening there. So I cannot account or testify on behalf of anyone. They were maybe strategizing here. They were doing things and saying, let's talk to the minister, let's do what. But this never happened in this very instance. When this letters was brought to me between them and Saki, I referred to the desk, to the relevant desk, and that was the desk of the permanent secretary, where applications for rights, quotas, and licenses are to be done.
Okay. Is it proper for them to strategize regarding official matters with your in-laws? Regarding official matters with his in-laws, Mr. Temson Atigilipi, Mr. James Atigilipi.
My lord, first of all, my in-laws had nothing to do with my work. If they strategize with them, let them do that there, but not with my concurrence or with my blessings. No.
All right. The reason I introduced these documents to you were just to show you that your in-laws and your co-accused persons were involved in discussions regarding the Memorandum of Understanding and the Namgoma project.
My lord,
But you said you are not aware of that.
let them come and testify on their behalf.
All right.
I'm not here to testify on behalf of anyone. I'm here on my individual behalf here to apply for my release.
Okay. Mr. Esau, Your co-accused persons, your in-laws, Mr. James Atuilipi, Mr. Temson Atuilipi, Mr. Shangala, were these the intended beneficiaries from the quotas to Namgoma?
I'm sorry, Mr. Atuilipi, I missed the first part.
His in-laws, Mr. Temson Atuilipi, Mr. James Atuilipi, Mr. Shangala, I'll just stop with those ones for now.
Yes.
Were these the intended beneficiaries of the quotas received by Namgoma?
Oh, okay.
Or proceeds from those quotas?
My Lord, the beneficiaries of a right, beneficiaries of a fishing right that flows out from the quotas allocated was in fact for Namgoma Peshka SA, because the right was given to SA Pascal. The right was granted. The quotas was allocated to Namgoma Peshka, and it was the arrangements between Namgoma Peshka, SA, and Namgoma Peshka Namibia, how they will disburse that very income that is derived from the allocation of quotas. It was not, in fact, for the individuals, but it was for the company, and then the company decides whether they declare dividends or pay for services to be provided. Because I know that that is the way normally companies in fishing is operating. And any other cost that is paid to service providers. Yeah, service providers.
You have not answered my question. You nominated Namgoma Pescas. Your in-laws and Mr. Shangala, were they the intended beneficiaries from the quotas or proceeds from those quotas?
I answered it, my Lord. I said it is I nominated Peshkas, Namgoma, for Namgoma Peshkas to benefit.
Okay. So what you are saying, what Namgoma Pescas does, whoever then benefits from these quotas, there's no issue with that. Your in-laws are entitled to benefit from that.
I am not saying they are entitled. I said the company is to get a quota allocation. The quota was not allocated to the individuals. Quota was allocated to Namgoma Peshka, my Lord. And that very company, either they decide to declare dividends or they don't decide to declare dividends. That is in fact what's normally happening. Because they have to cover their costs first, meet their statutory obligations. And if there's something left over, it's for them to declare or not to declare. So the members of the company or the shareholders of that company will decide at their board meetings or their AGMs whether they declare a dividend or not. So I am not, in fact, privy to that. So that's why I'm saying the company is the one who is benefiting.
Oh, okay. All right.
Whoever they pay to, it's none of my business.
Yeah. All right. No, I understand you. So you are basically saying the shareholders are the ones who are supposed to benefit from this.
I said the company, comrade, my lord. The company is given a right. The company is the one who is getting the money because it's in the company's book. And it is the company to decide. It is not for me, my lord, as a minister, unless somebody comes to me or to the ministry and said, we are members or shareholders of that company and we have not received any dividends, but we know money quotas was allocated, income was derived from that quotas, etc. But I am saying that the rights are given to a company, quotas are allocated to a company.
Okay, maybe for the sake of progress, let's move on. You are aware that there's a witness in this particular case with regard to the Namgoma scheme, yeah? Mr. Johannes Stephenson.
My Lord, the wording of saying a scheme, there was no scheme. To my understanding, to me, if there was a scheme, I was not part of that scheme. If Johannes was involved, there is witness called Johannes Stephenson. If he was involved, let him come and explain. Let him come and testify and say what is what. Because as a minister, you have to distance yourself. I cannot be a referee and a player at the same time. If I wanted to be a player, I could have played already in 2010, 2011, 2012 in the game of participating for the benefit of myself. And my Lord, there's one thing that is very important to know. My Lord, I hope you understand Afrikaans, my Lord.
Say it in English, whatever you...
I will say it in Afrikaans and then I will explain it in Afrikaans. They say, self is the boss. They say self is the boss. It means you yourself, you are the boss. You have to decide by yourself for what you are doing. So I cannot delegate my interests or anything to anybody other than myself. Closer to me is my son, who's also a lawyer, by the way.
Okay.
He is, in fact, I could have used him to say, come and represent Esau family, not anyone else. Today you are my son-in-law, tomorrow you will divorce, and who will be, what will happen? So I am Esau, I'm from the Esau clan. I'm not from another clan.
With the disclosure that is there in the docket, how can you say there's no scheme when Mr. Shankala, who was accompanying you, was a beneficiary through entities where he has an interest?
My Lord, I was not part of a scheme.
Oh, okay.
If I was part of a scheme, and that scheme has generated 100 millions of NAM dollars, what did I benefit from this very scheme? What is there that I got? Up to now, I'm still a poor Esau.
Amazing.
Yes, I am a poor Esau. I am just relying from my pension funds and my savings that I generated from my lot from farming activities.
Oh, okay. Maybe before you get to the statement of Mr. Stephenson, one of the new facts that you raised in paragraph 5 of your document is that you have nothing to do with the offenses and you are being used by co-accused persons and you provide evidence pertaining thereto. You remember that?
Yes, from the disclosure I could see now that I was used.
Okay. I've already asked you this question in relation to the fish core scheme as far as that is concerned. Now in Namgoma, you said you provide evidence. You had nothing to do with the offenses. You were being used by co-accused persons. Which co-accused persons were using you?
My Lord, my name was used between Johannes Stephenson, I saw my name was used.
Mr. Stephenson is not a co-accused person. You were particular.
Suspect.
You were particularly a co-accused person.
Yeah, the co-accused. I refer to the co-accused because the co-accused, my Lord, I have picked up in the disclosure that my name was floated around as a minister who has given blessings for issues.
Okay, fine. Let's just proceed. You already mentioned Mr. Stephenson.
Yeah.
We know what's involved. Who else? Which other co-accused? Which co-accused?
Which other co-accused used my name?
Yes, you mentioned here that you have been used. You mentioned your co-accused. I want to know who's using your name here.
My lord, it was very clear in the disclosure that Saki has used my name.
Okay. Mr. Shankala was using your name to commit these offenses. Who else was using your name?
To commit offenses? I've never committed any offense, my lord.
No. You did not commit any offense. You said your co-accused persons used you.
Used my name?
Your name, yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
And my name was used, as I've said, by one of them, Isaki.
Okay.
I've testified on those very issues as well.
All right.
Where, in fact, this, what is this thing, this, which you
Are you also making reference?
R1, on under divider 15.
Okay, just give me a minute. Under divider 15, you say, okay, R1 divider 15.
Yeah.
Okay, the document that we referred to earlier.
Yeah.
The letter, yes.
Yeah, this is the letter which was also, it reflects as well the use of my name.
Okay. Are you also perhaps making reference to the letter that was signed by Mr. Shangala and his counterpart in Angola addressed to you and Mr. The former Minister of Fisheries in Angola?
The letter, yes, they were said we discussed, as you instructed or something like that.
Okay. This letter, which is Exhibit Q, the one titled Business Enterprise Cooperation between Namibia and Angola in the fishing sector.
Yeah, I cannot now. Yeah, but that one, of the 18th of December.
All right, so you are saying this is part of the evidence which shows that he was using your name.
Yeah, my name is used.
All right. Who else was using your name?
My lord, I cannot now pinpoint with evidence the using of my name further, but in terms of the disclosures, I have picked up that my name was used as well. In terms of between me, my name was used on the JVs as well, to strike, to enter into catch agreements with summary.
Okay, so are you alleging Mr. Ricardo Gustavo used your name?
No, I'm not saying he, because I never knew Gustavo before.
All right, you never knew before.
I never knew before, yeah.
Okay.
Because...
so who, with regard to those JVs, used your name?
Because the JVs. Huh? There was an affidavit from Sharon. I mean, Sharon, one of the witnesses was saying that these very people, James and Thompson, were directing, and was saying that I instructed them to tell the JVs, my lord, that they should enter into an agreement, catch agreements with summary. Yeah, those are the ones which I can see, yeah.
Okay, so...
And even Stevenson himself as well. I think he must have maybe thinking that I was saying that, or I confirmed or I directed the very co-accused to do ABCD.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in summary, the accused you alleged used your name, Mr. Shankala, and your in-laws, Mr. James Atwilipi and Mr. Thompson Atwilipi.
That's for sure, my lord. I got from the disclosures. Oh. I've picked it up from the disclosures.
Oh, okay.
It came out very clear.
Oh, okay.
With no evidence, in fact, that I have instructed or directed.
Let's not forget the letter that Mr. Shankala wrote to you and you provided to the PS.
Yes, because it was not the right address.
Okay. You've seen the statement of Mr. Stephenson, who's now a whistleblower, correct? You were the site of that statement.
I don't have the statement with me here.
Have you read it before?
When it was disclosed, I read it, but it doesn't make any sense, with what he was saying there. Because he doesn't understand the administration of fisheries.
All right.
He doesn't understand the Ministry of Fisheries, how it operates, my lord. Somebody was blowing in the air, shooting in the air, in fact.
Okay. Okay. Maybe before you get there, in your new facts, you've clearly mentioned you're used by your co-accused persons. You've now outlined which co-accused persons from the evidence used your name, not used your name. You've not made any allegations that any of the permanent secretaries had used your name. Is that correct?
My lord, my permanent secretaries were principal advisors. They were advising me. They were not there, for sure, to say that the minister said blah, 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 whatever thing. They were briefing me, and they were telling me this is what they did and this is what they recommend.
Yeah, okay.
Neither directors as well.
Yeah, okay.
You have to add more.
Yes, from Mr. Stephenson's affidavit, you noted that he indicated they were allegedly involved in this scheme.
They were?
He indicated in his affidavit who was allegedly involved in this entire scheme, the parties.
You are speculating.
All right, what I want to get to is that he does not mention any of your permanent secretaries as parties to these unlawful schemes. Is that correct?
Because he doesn't know the administration of fisheries. He doesn't know, and I'm really sure, and I'm saying with confidence, he doesn't know.
He was mentioning the persons he was working with, and your name popped up. You saw that in the affidavit.
Objection. Objection. Mr. Stephenson does not say that he was working with the minister in his affidavit. He does not say that. As it pleases the court.
Your Lordship will get to it. I'm not just pulling things out of the air. I'll produce the affidavit.
Okay.
If he doesn't know, he can inform us he doesn't know if that is mentioned or not. I want him to answer first before we get to the affidavit. Even the issue of the document opportunity Angola, I refer to that in the affidavit of Mr. Stephenson. The affidavit my colleague says is not, the document my colleague says is not contained in his affidavit. I'll refer to that. I'll still come to that. Mr. Esau, in his affidavit, you appreciated he not mention, okay, fine, we mentioned the permanent secretaries, but he pointed you as one of the persons who was involved.
Devoid of any truth, what he was pointing there.
Okay.
I've never, in fact, I don't have even a cell phone number or a contact number of Johannes Stephenson.
All right.
Yeah, I met Johannes Stephenson at an ACC workshop in Swakopmund. But we never discussed anything pertaining to this Angolan opportunity or what opportunity Angola. And in fact, I was invited by the 3 JVs to go on the vessel where they took a picture of mine on that Heinerstar vessel. I was invited by the 3, and the message came from a director in the Ministry of Fisheries. In fact, pleading with me to go to on that vessel. And I was not even I was tired because we had a lot of discussions with the ACC in that workshop in Swakopmund.
All right. You said that is when you met him. In what year was it?
Yeah, my lord, that's it's very difficult to recall, but it was maybe 2016, 2017, 2016, I think, before 2016.
Yeah, was that the first time you met him?
My lord, they wanted to meet me in 2012.
Who's they?
Stephenson. They want to meet me. That's when they have delivered that letter of invitation, which I never even honored, by the way.
Invitation to Iceland.
Correct. I never, yeah, that one. I just want
Okay.
to put the state into perspective on this matter.
All right.
When was that? 2010 or 2012?
2012, I think.
2012.
2012, my lord.
Okay,
I think 2012.
you've not answered my question. When was the first time you met him?
Yeah, I said that I was supposed to meet them at 2012. But I didn't, because I had other engagements, because then they dropped the letter of invitation there. So I haven't met them, in fact, that time. The first I met with him, to my recollection, well, he was an audience, he was in the audience. I was addressing the ACC workshop in Swakopmund, and I was invited by the 3 JVs who was in partnership with the summary group on the vessel, and they wanted me to go on board of that vessel to have dinner with that vessel. It was 2016, if I'm not mistaken, that one. Since then, no.
Since then, no.
No.
Okay, so
I can't recall.
that was the first time you met them in 2016, is that correct?
2016, we had dinner together with the officials of the Ministry of Fisheries, and then with the JVs, the 3 JVs.
I don't know how you are ducking the question.
No, I'm not ducking, my lord. I am saying that when did I meet?
First time you met them was 2016.
First time we had dinner there. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's me. If we interpret the dinner as meeting, well, you can interpret it as a meeting, but we were all together with the officials of the ministry together there. That's, I've not even had discussions on pertaining to any matters. What's it?
Maybe let me rephrase the question. When was the first time you saw Stephenson?
If I to see him, sure, that was 2015, 2016.
At the meeting with the ACC.
15, when they introduced me when I was introduced to the shareholder of summary group of companies from Iceland who came to visit Namibia. I just briefly met as I was dropping my son-in-law at the house of his parents, and then they were there, but we never had at least discussions. I said, this is the minister, and then the 16, I had dinner with them, to put it very clearly for the court, yes.
All right. Now, you also have the forensic report in your possession that was compiled in this case by Deloitte and Touche, correct?
It was disclosed, my lord.
Yes. I don't know if you read it, or I hope you read it. You noted in that report that there's no indication of funds either from the Fishco scheme or Namgoma scheme, which was diverted to your permanent secretaries. Mr. Esau?
Yes, I'm with you, I'm listening. There was no fund directed to my permanent secretaries. Yes, I don't know about that.
Oh, okay. So there's no indication of any benefit for them from these 2 unlawful schemes. Now, you want to answer?
No, my lord, it is very interesting. If my permanent secretaries have received money from them, I won't know. I will not know.
Now, Mr. Esau, I'll ask you a question. I suppose I know your answer to this question, but I want to hear it from you. As your Minister of Fisheries at the time, did you ever receive bribe payments from the Samheri group of companies through your co-accused persons in order for you and your co-accused person and the Samedi group to benefit from the quotas on the Ministry of Fisheries?
Zero, my lord.
Zero bribe payments?
Yes, I have not received a bribe payment.
All right.
And I know you refer to 120, 150, something like that. But
I want to take you to page 960 of our bundle.
960.
Yes. It's the second bundle at the very, very end. It's in effect the last page.
Correct, my lord.
You are there.
Yes.
You see, this is an extract from the forensic report.
960. Yes, my lord.
Yes, and on that page, what is depicted are payments from the Samheri group and how that was laundered. You see that? You see the payments from the Samheri group.
This is an explanation that was tendered by the. It's an explanation that was tendered by the. We're not sure if they are auditors, and we've previously raised this issue, if I'm not mistaken, in the bail application of Mr. Thames and Haituki. And on the cover page of that particular report from Deloitte, there are various disclaimers. And one of the disclaimers there is that there are no consultations with the interested parties in the matters. This report will not reflect the full information of all relevant documentation and transactions or the identified documentations and transactions reported on. The information is used for the purposes of this report has been obtained from documentation of the ACC. They also go on to say that if further information evidence is brought to their attention after the date of this report and such further evidence may affect the findings of this report, we reserve the opportunity to amend and update our findings in a supplement of this report. And that is the context within which this report should be given, because these auditors that premise their opinion here, they have not heard from Mr. Esau. And if they hear his explanations to this report, that might change the entire thing, and that is the danger of accepting this particular report on face value, my lord.
Your Lordship, if it comes to the issue of admissibility, this report is admissible. He wants to deal with the evidential value of the report. We are dealing with extracts from bank statements. Bank statements don't lie. They will show what was done through people's accounts. And he can comment on this. Nothing precludes the applicant from commenting on this, where the money came from and what happened to the money. That is evidence, can lead evidence on that. In actual fact, he testified on it already. So he can be cross-examined. There's nothing that precludes the state from addressing this issue. I don't see why counsel lead evidence in chief and then want to prevent the state from cross-examining their client on the same issue that made evidence on.
It's fine. I'll say at least it was, he just highlighted the disclaimer.
The matter within which my learned friend started his question is from the report how the money was laundered. Now, if an explanation was given, which they should have required for at least investigate, then they would not have come back and say, it's not admissibility, they would not have come back and say laundered.
I understand.
And there is a critical issue, my lord. It doesn't mean because we've tendered on the amount that it received, but that can change, whether it comes from bank statements or not. They can change the entire outcome of the report, as please the court.
Thank you, Mr. Bier. That's well noted.
As it please the court, Your Lordship. Now, you note from there that there was a amount of 600,000, which was, let's just go to the last page instead of reading through individually everything. From the Samheri group of companies to Kambandara trustees. Please speak up so that the machines can pick you up. Your Lordship, maybe let me just touch on that amount that went, then we can take our break. I've informed it's.
Okay.
Mr. Esau, you saw the 600,000 from Samheri to Kambandara Trust?
I see this report of Deloitte.
Yes, and of that amount, there was an amount of 150,000 to Irongo Clearing and forward to Irongo Clearing. You can see the explanation
Correct,
upwards,
correct.
yes. And Mr. Temson Atwilipi had an interest in Rirongo clearing, is that correct? So that amount of 150,000, which emanated from the Samheri group, was then paid onwards to you, is that correct?
Just
So
repeat the
Bernard-
question. Sorry, Mr. Esau. Just repeat your question, Mr. Lutivenzi.
The 150,000, which emanated from the Samheri group, was paid onwards to Mr. Esau for your benefit. There was a check payment to B. Esau, BE Farming, is that correct? So you received this amount, you confirm that, yes?
BE Farming did receive this amount
Yes.
on the 21st of December 2012.
Okay, and whose entity is BE Farming?
It's my farming account, my lord.
B what?
BE Farming.
BE farming.
It's my farming account.
Okay. Your Lordship, maybe to be enough to return them to attend now, continue after.
We'll adjourn. We'll take our break and we'll resume at 11:30.
from Irongo clearing, which emanated from Samheri. And this was prior to you signing the MOU, is that correct?
2012.
Yes, when you received this money.
Correct, my lord, 2012.
And then after signing of the MOU, you've seen from the contents of the disclosure that the Samheri group had entered into a catching agreement with Namgoma Pesca SA, the company that you nominated. Mr. Esau?
Sorry, my lord. But I signed.
After signing the MOU, you've seen from the disclosure that this entity, Samheri, had entered into a catching agreement with Namgoma Pesca SA, an entity that you had nominated.
In 2014 that I signed the agreement, my lord, the MOU. And 2012, there's 150 was paid into my farming account,
Yes.
trading as BE farming.
The payment was in 2012.
2012, 2 years
Before you signed.
before I signed.
Yes. And after you signed, now I'm getting after you signed, that you noted that the Samheri group entered into a catching agreement with Namgoma Pescas, an entity you had nominated. Is that correct?
That is what the disclosure is saying.
Yes. So at the end of the day, they were also beneficiaries from those quotas under the Memorandum of Understanding.
My lord, this is the conclusion of the state, but I need to give substance of this 150 as well.
Okay, just hold on before you give substance. Are you saying it's just by conclusion that they benefited from the quotas to Namgoma?
Well, that is not to my knowledge, but that was between Samheri and Nangoma.
All right. From the content of the disclosure, do you dispute that they benefited?
From the content of the disclosure, whether I disputed whether they benefited, I cannot testify on that, whether it was a benefit derived from the quota or whether it was benefit derived from any other transaction.
Such as?
I don't know.
Oh.
Any other, that's why I'm saying any other, I don't know.
Oh, okay. All right. You said you wanted to give context.
Yes, my lord, on the 150.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, my lord, in terms of the 150 payment to my farming account, and it went into my farming account, not into my personal account. This very 150 was the price of cattle that was bought from me by my son-in-law and his wife, our daughter. And this very 150 payment was based on an offer that my wife and I made to our kids, our daughter and her husband, in order to, at least as parents, also to consolidate and to contribute toward an everlasting relationship between my daughter, our daughter, and her husband, that is Hatukulipi. And we have, since they were in wedlock for a year and a month, if I'm not mistaken, a year, 2 months, because they got married in 2011, October end, and December, 2012, December, they made a payment of 150 in respect of those cattle, which was, in fact, which was kept on farm Dakota as well, because they never had a farm. And we wanted them also to cultivate an interest in farming. That is why, as a parent, you have also to contribute towards the everlasting relations between your children. If they are married, at least as a parent, you give them, but not for free. And that is the 150 that is related to that very matter, which I think I testified on that as well.
Yes, you already testified on it. You had said you wanted to cultivate the culture of farming,
farming.
with your kids. Yes, I recall that. Is it also correct that these cattle were allegedly bought on your ear tags?
Correct, my lord. It was on my ear tag.
All right. So today, as far as we are concerned, the cattle are still registered under your name. Is that correct?
Correct. It's still registered.
All right.
And every year.
So this agreement that you had with Mr. Atwilipi was a verbal agreement?
It was a verbal understanding.
Yes. There's nothing in writing to show that you are selling cattle to him.
The proof is here in the detail.
A payment of 150,000
correct,
to your farming account.
Into my farming account,
yes.
As reflected.
Yes. All right. So the cattle, they are still being kept at your farm?
Yeah, they were kept on my farm since 2012, since the purchase price was paid on farm Dakota.
Yes.
And in between as well, we had issues of cattle theft and things like that, dying of cattle. Yeah.
Interesting. So there's nothing to show that Mr. Atwilipi owns any cattle on your farm?
My lord, in terms of what we offered, we had a gentleman's agreement, a gentleman's understanding.
Yes.
Yes. That he has cattle, and those cattle are on farm Dakota. And we know that every year when we do the vaccination, he was on the farm as well, since he bought that very cattle. And we want them also to cultivate an interest in farming.
All right. How many cattle did he buy?
Yeah, my lord, the prices are varying from time to time.
I'm not concerned.
I'm coming to that one.
All right.
I'm coming to that one. How many cattle did he buy? It was between 25, 30 roundabout cattle, approximately.
So you don't know how many cattle?
No, my lord, I know it was 20, 25 because it was a mix. There were small, calves, not calves, but at least 2.5 years old. There were also old, cows, and those were making out the 150 price of the cattle. Yeah.
How many were they?
I said 20, 25. 20, 25, 20, 25, 30, roundabout.
Oh.
I can give you the calculation. I'll just give you.
You started with 20, 25. Now you are going to 25 to 30.
I want to be exact now.
This is a lot of money. 150,000 is buying cattle. You don't know how many he bought.
I will give you.
The witness said that we will get to that. And also bear in mind that we are now in 2023 and no longer in 2012. If the witness can just go back to his records, as it pleases.
No, I'm giving him an opportunity, Your Lordship. He can calculate.
Yeah, it was 30 cattle for 5,000 per head.
What kind of cattle did he buy?
My lord, I'm farming with Bonsmara. We're farming with Brahmans. We had Chevrolets as well. Cows. We had Bonsmara bulls. So that is the types of cattle that we have.
Okay. He bought specific cattle from you.
He bought cattle from me, mixed.
Yes, how many of those mixtures did he buy? How many Bonsmara did he buy? I want to know how many. You said you have an agreement with this
Yeah, we
person.
have a verbal agreement, 30 heads of cattle, my lord. It was a mixed. I've said that in the mixed, there were cattle that is around about 2.5 years, which was not, in fact, ready for bulls. Some were old cattle, the old cows, which was more than the 2 years, 3 years, let's say, because 2.5, 3 years, then you can put a bull on the. They were old cows. So, how many cattle he bought? It was a mixed, my lord. It is not an issue of saying he bought 10 Bonsmaras, he bought 10 Brahman, or he bought 10 Chevrolets. No, it was a mix. It depends on what was available at that time, at that point in time.
Okay. So at this stage, you cannot inform the court how many of each brand he bought.
The quantity-wise, it was 30
Okay.
for 5,000 per head.
But you said now there were different breeds
Yes.
at different prices
No different prices. I said across 5,000.
for all the different type of cattle.
My lord, this is what it is. It was 5,000 per head, and you buy 5,000. You get 30 cattle.
No matter the breed, it didn't matter.
Breed doesn't. I was a commercial farmer, my lord. I'm still a commercial farmer, and you don't say that this is a special breed, of saying a breed which was very special in the Namibian context. If I buy a Bonsmara, I buy a Bonsmara for that price. I don't think that prices are differing between Bonsmara and a Brahman or a Chevrolet or whatever. It doesn't differ. Prices are just one. Unless maybe I want to buy a Guni, maybe, because there are also Guni breeds which are mostly in the northern regions, which is mostly drought resistant, which we are told. And I sold this very commercial breeds, heavy cattle. The Bonsmaras are heavy. The Chevrolets are heavy as well. The Brahmans, it's got the height. Yeah, it's got the height as well in terms of cattle. So, as a farmer, my lord, I am also trying to share my experiences as a part-time farmer, but I am going to full-time now.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Prior to your arrest in 2019, how many cattle did he have?
Did he?
His co-accused Mr. Temson at Bilipi.
Prior to my arrest?
Yes, in 2019.
Yeah, my lord, I don't have now the records of 2019 prior to my arrest, but I know 2012 he had those very cattle, the 30 heads of cattle. He, in fact, came every year, especially when we do the vaccination and the stock count as well, whereby, in fact, we count, we know how many calves. Sometimes some of the cattle don't even calf. You have a problem. This cow is not giving a calf, or this very one was not properly covered by the bull. So in terms of how many cattle he had in 2019 prior to my arrest, I cannot give the figure now exactly, because it is very difficult for me, because I had to go into the records of the farm. And unfortunately, I was in prison. I could have given you the correct.
And you yourself, how many cattle did you have in 2019 in total? Because they mixed with Mr. Bilipi's cattle.
Yeah, my lord, we went through drought situations. There was a lot of losses as well in terms of the drought. So we had quite a number. We had enough over the economic quantity of cattle. We had over 150, 200, 300 roundabout. But I cannot really, to be honest, I cannot give you the exact, my lord, I cannot give the exact number here in terms of cattle. I need to go back to the books. I need to check which cattle, which cow had a calf, and then what type of calf was it, and things like that. Because we were also giving cattle to our grandchildren as well. As an African farmer, my lord, when a boy is in fact born, you say this is a nice cow for you or something. As you grow up, at least it can cover your school fees and things like that. This is how we, in fact, were brought up in our families.
From the 30 that you bought, did any of them die from drought?
For sure, it was devastating. There were carcasses on the farm, my lord. Or you could see carcasses lying around here. When we were loading cattle, at least to take the cattle to another place, another farm, for rent purposes because of grazing challenges that we faced, they were dying. Unfortunately, I had, even if I had my devices here, there were pictures of cattle that I was sent to check.
How many of Mr. Tumilipi's cattle died?
Yeah, my lord, it is as I've testified already. I don't have the records here.
Okay.
I don't have the records.
All right, and since they are all on your ear tags, how do you identify his cattle?
Ear tags have got numbers. There are numbers on the ear tags. So the identification could be from the ear tag number.
Okay. All right, I just want you to have a look at an affidavit. Officer. Just give one and one to the judge. You have before you a statement from Mr. Johannes Stephenson, correct?
Yes, I have the statement signed 4th June 2019 in Berlin.
All right. I just want to highlight to you part of the evidence that is going to be laid at the trial regarding this unlawful scheme. You see in paragraph 4, he states that on 18 June 2014, Namibia and Angola, through the various ministers of fisheries and marine resources, entered into a memorandum of understanding in respect of cooperation in areas of fisheries and agriculture. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
You confirm that is in fact what happened?
Yes, my lord. There was the MOU was signed on the 18th of June.
All right. And then on the next page, page 3 at the bottom, at the top, he states that this bilateral agreement was done to create income for individual people in Namibia and Angola, but mostly in Namibia, and will be referred to as key people in Namibia. You see that?
This is what he states or testified here.
Yes. This person has acknowledged his involvement in this matter. That he's a whistleblower. You are aware of that. In paragraph 7, he says that due to my extensive involvement in the fishing sector and my participation in setting up and managing this deal, I can state that this particular bilateral fishing agreement was specifically created in order to let corrupt people in Namibia, Angola, and the company Samheri benefit from the fishing resources of Namibia. You see that?
This is what he's stating here.
Yes.
Which is not Substantiated, my lord.
And he says in Namibia, the main role players and beneficiaries are, at the next page, he lists those beneficiaries. You see that in the statement?
Yes, I know, I'm just highlighting as well. Okay, yes, I see the names here.
And the very number one beneficiary who's listed, whose name is there?
They said Bernhardt Esau, the
Bernhardt
Minister
Esau.
of Fisheries.
All right. And then we have the others, Mr. James Atwilipi, Mr. Dempson Atwilipi, Mr. Ricardo Gustavo, Mr. Sakia Shankala. Is that correct?
This is what he said.
All right.
My lord.
Look, I'm not going to, if there's anything you want to refer to in the statement, you can refer to it. I'm not going to read the entire statement. I just want to take the relevant portions. If you can skip to paragraph 11 at page 6. He outlines how this whole unlawful scheme was started by the syndicate.
So-called.
Mr. Esau,
Yes, yes, no, I'm just saying that.
so-called offenses were committed. Your version is that you
Mine.
did not commit
I
the
was not
offenses.
My lord, these are said offences are committed. People have been found guilty of offences that they have committed. So the witness is correct in his answer if he says it's so-called. Until such time that the court has made a finding onto the guilt of any offence that have been committed, then my learned friend can at one proceed to say that offences were committed. These are still allegations, and we should not lose my mind of that fact, my lord, as it pleases.
His objection is noted. Now, you see in paragraph 11, he stipulates that the timeline of events in order to set up the fisheries agreement and the quota are as follows. You see that?
Yes, my lord, I am together.
Yes. And he stipulates that during 2011, there was a person, I cannot remember his name, who brought and introduced Temson Atwilipi to me, and Adelstein and Infa Juliusen. At that point in time, we were staying in the Hilton Hotel in Windhoek, and the meeting took place there. He states that the unknown person was trying to assist us to secure quotas for the horse mackerel, but was not succeeding. In parentheses, it says that in the industry, there are many persons who claim to be well connected, but in reality are not. He introduced Tempson and indicated that he is the son-in-law of the Minister of Fisheries, Bernhardt Esau, and could possibly arrange things. Then he says that Tempson showed us photographs from his wedding with his daughter of the minister in order to confirm that he was who he claimed to be. He also indicated that he was well connected, and this is how we established contact with him and the rest of the key players. They came to us, we did not look for them. You see that? All right. And then he goes on to say that in order to start the process of securing a fisheries agreement and the allocation of quota under such agreement, several meetings took place between myself and key people in Namibia. Minister Esau was not part of these meetings, and James Atwilipi, Temson Atwilipi, and sometimes Saki Shangala met him regularly to update him, as they told me that they were having a discussion and planning with him, and sometimes some other politicians. As I understood high-level people in the politics, although their names were never revealed to me. He also goes on to say that I met Mr. Esau a few times, but the details of the Namgoma project was not discussed, possibly only mentioned very briefly. But James Atwilipi and Temson Atwilipi were the who informed me about the meetings. He says, I did attend all meetings with James Atwilipi and Temson Atwilipi, sometimes Saki Shangala for the Namgoma project on behalf of Samuel. It was Saki Shangala and James Atwilipi on behalf of the minister or with him who initiated the meetings with Angola. You see that? So he's alleging here that Mr. Shangala was one of the persons who was initiating the meetings with Angola, and in your evidence you said that you traveled with Mr. Shangala on 2 occasions to Angola.
Correct, my lord. I did travel with Saki Shangala, Mr. Saki Shangala, on 2 occasions to Angola. A delegation composed of by the then Permanent Secretary, the late, and I also want to testify here that Saki Sangala and James Hatikulipi was never, in fact, mandated by me to act on my behalf as a minister. And I want to highlight and I want to bring this under the attention of the court. Whenever I am, in fact, represented by anybody then when it's a minister, I normally used to give a letter of reference. There must be a letter of reference. And the state has not come out with an evidence of any letter of reference to either Saki or to James Hatikulipi to act on my behalf where I delegated. And I've said I had a deputy minister. And if a deputy minister was to assist me, my lord, I could have sent that deputy minister on my behalf, as I've sent the deputy minister to Mozambique to go and conclude the MOU between Namibia and Angola and cooperation. Sorry.
All right. And furthermore, he stipulates under paragraph 4 that further documentation relating to the planning of this deal and challenges encountered are marked as Project Angola and Opportunity Angola, and the diagram attached is per annexure JS4, we're at page 7. And that all documents provided in this affidavit came from my own records or those forwarded to me by Mr. James Hatikulipi, Temson Hatikulipi, Ricardo Gustavo, Zakia Shangala. He just puts the initials there, but earlier on in his statements he indicates who these people are. So, in instance, you remember the documents we dealt with, including that document marked Opportunity Angola.
Yeah, I saw them now, which was
Yes.
disclosed. Yeah.
Yes, which is allegedly not in his statement. He says that this outlines the planning of that deal, these documents. The documents of Project Angola, Opportunity Angola, relates to the planning of the deal.
Of which I was not party to, my lord.
Oh, okay. And then he goes on to say that I attach a document marked Summary and Action Points post-meeting held September 18, 2013, Minister of Fisheries, Luanda, Angola, marked as per Annexure JS5. I obtained this document from Zakia Shangala in paragraph 11 of this document. It is clear that the entering and signing of a bilateral agreement was pivotal in order for the direct issuance of quota. You see that?
This is what is claimed, my lord, in the affidavit of Johannesson, of
Yes.
which again I'm saying I was not party to such kind of arrangements.
Yes. So in instance, the signing of the bilateral agreement, which we eventually did sign, was very important for the scheme. He goes on to say that Zakia Shangala and myself once went to Angola to meet the minister, Ms. Neto Barros, and this is the minutes of that meeting. Antonio Santos Francisco also attended.
I believe, my lord, it's reference to this affidavit that was given. It was provided by the state,
Yeah.
summary of action.
Yeah.
As I've stated and already testified on this one, I was not party to anything. If people are conniving at the back of at my back, I will not know, my lord. I was executing my duties as a minister, as advised by my PS then, and as advised by the management and administration of the ministry. And this is what I'm testifying, and I want to repeat that again.
All right. He also highlights at the next page, the second paragraph, the second bullet point. This is at page 8. He makes reference to a document, Business Enterprise Cooperation between Namibia and Angola in the fishing sector. You recall this document, which you said was provided to you, which was signed by Mr. Shangala and Mr. Francisco Santos.
I testified on that one as well.
Yes.
Because I was saying that when that document was December 2013, I've referred that document to the Office of the Permanent Secretary.
Yes.
Because that's where applications for rights, quotas, and licenses are done. So I am not, in fact, but I'm taking note of what is
Yes.
in the evidence of not evidence, the affidavit of Johannesburg.
Okay, so you said you referred it to the PS for the purpose of issuance of quotas, that document.
For evaluation, my lord, because applications for quotas are in fact to be evaluated. Applications for rights are to be evaluated. And I have said that I don't have the capacity in my testimony to carry out any due diligence, neither to evaluate.
Okay. So what exactly do you want them to evaluate in relation to that document that you gave to them?
My lord, it is their function and their responsibility for the PS to look at the issues of that very entity that was recommended. Was it in line of our laws, the Marine Resources Act? Was it in line of that agreement which they talked about, a memorandum which was not even concluded in 2013, October? Because it made reference to such kind of amendments in that very thing. And I know that October 2013, there was no MOU or agreement between Namibia and Angola. It was still a negotiated matter that is between Namibia and Angola.
Okay.
And I want to add something for our courts also to understand. My lord, when agreements or draft agreements, in fact, it was in fact called a draft agreement. That agreement, when it was scrutinized by the AG's office, I want to get just to get clarity, to add more clarity on the matter. When it was referred to the AG made his comments, his comments on that agreement, and that very agreement was sent back to my office for my attention. I mean, to address to the PS. I mean, to me, for the attention the permanent secretary. In the letter, cover letter on that very thing.
Okay. All right. You've testified on that. We don't need to keep going back. All right. Okay, this document, we don't need to go back to these documents. The one that you said was irregular.
Maybe just one aspect about the letter that you are talking about.
Correct.
You are saying that you referred it to the PS because they are the ones who are evaluating.
Yeah, they do it. Yes, ma'am.
If I recall well, the letter appears to attribute certain conduct on your part that you would have either they discussed with you. I cannot just recall what it says.
Yes. It was requested, you mentioned it was requested.
So all that I'm trying to establish is whether you did not get consent that an individual is writing saying the Minister of Fisheries directed us like this, or we engaged with the minister in this manner. Yes. And you did not find it problematic, and that maybe you could take it on to clear where it comes from, or even follow up if that was the case.
I'm getting them.
At what page? Divider
14 Q. As I have testified on this very letter, my lord, I've said that I was in a situation
Yes.
with my late brother at Paragon Hospital.
Yes.
When this letter came, I've referred this letter to the Office of the PS. I have not gone into the details of reading this letter, what it was saying, and because my mind was set on my family, and not really to look into this. If it attributes any matter pertaining to me having
Done anything?
anything.
Yes.
No, I have not done this one.
No.
And that's what I've testified on. I have not directed anybody to do anything, because if I direct, there must have been evidence in terms of maybe a letter of reference or any evidence in terms of that, but not really for a matter like this, which is substantive.
Yes.
You cannot tell. And even I testified that the two coat of arms, it's irregular as well. I have now, because I was a little bit that day, not that well.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Mr. Esau, is there any reason why you did not take leave to deal with your family issues? At this time, is there any reason why you did not take leave to deal with his issues that hindered you in performing your work at that stage?
My Lord, as we are going, every December, at least year end, there's quite a number of correspondences that is referred to the minister in terms of allocations of quotas and things like that. Why didn't I take leave? I was in and out from the office. I was not in fact, but I had BCC matters that time, if my memory serves me, because I was also advised by the then Executive Secretary of BCC, the Benguela Current Commission, on what actions I should take pertaining to my brother's illness that time. But I have not taken any leave. My leave normally starts January. Yeah.
Were you not entitled to compassionate leave?
Yeah. My Lord, I am entitled to compassionate leave, but I was really, in fact, in and out of the office. That's all what I can say. I have not taken any leave. My leave I took in January and also in February when we buried him, the next year, 2014.
Okay, maybe before I proceed, I just want clarity. When you received this letter, what is it that you noticed on this letter?
What I noticed on this letter, first of all, they talked about Business Enterprise Corporation, Namibia and Angola. That relates to the, for sure, to the discussions under this MOU between Namibia and Angola, or the agreement. So I have referred it to the PS because they are technocrats. I am not really involved with, but
okay.
That's what I've noticed.
All right, I'm just concerned with what you noticed. And the persons who wrote the letters, did you take note of that?
On the persons that wrote the letters, well, I saw the letters came from them, from Saki Shangala and Francisco Antonio Santos.
Okay.
Antonio.
And you said they were not authorized to write this letter on behalf of the government, especially Mr. Shangala as chairperson of the...
My Lord, I have not given any authority to anybody, as I have stated.
Oh, okay.
I have not given, because authority, I cannot delegate my functions and duties to individuals. No. It's only my deputy or the permanent secretary who can do things.
But it has been your evidence that you've been delegating some of your functions to your PS. You said you cannot do that to the permanent.
It's not the evidence of the witness. I just want the evidence to reflect correctly. The witness testified that there's been a standing principle and a standing practice, and when he came on, and that they just continued with that with regard to the PS. And I'm not testifying on the witness, I'm just repeating what he's already said. So the manner within which my friend is filling his testimony, as it please the court.
All right. You referred to some of your powers which were delegated to the PS, correct?
My Lord, I want to be very specific. I don't have powers. I have functions and duties. You cannot talk about powers. Well, when I delegate to my PS or to the deputy minister, it is when I am supposed maybe to appear or to present the paper. I will say, please, Comrade PS, can you please go and present this paper? Or deputy, can you please present this? Because it depends also from their activities, their programs of activities.
Now, Mr. Esau, why did you want the PS to even look at this letter, which is written by an unauthorized person?
My Lord, when I saw this very irregular, what we call it, coat of arms, I said, let it go to the PS, because the PS is government as well. It's our chief accounting, it's a principal advisor. Let her go and interrogate this very matter and come back to me.
Okay. So, did you ask for feedback from her if that matter was interrogated?
Did I ask for feedback?
Yes.
My Lord, normally, as I've stated, there are morning prayers, as I've give evidence. And in morning prayers, in that briefings, she will tell me this or that or anything pertaining to that. If she has not attended to briefing me on that, it's also coming something that I start forgetting because of a lot of documents that comes to me or that I refer to whoever. I don't keep copies with me as well.
Okay, so you don't remember if she briefed you on that, if you received any feedback from her?
Let her come and testify on that one, my Lord.
I thought you said she's deceased.
But you're asking me questions that is related to a deceased somebody. So how can I testify on something?
I'm asking you a question based on what you did, not based on what she did. Did you ask for feedback? That's what I'm asking you.
My Lord, when it comes to feedback or anything, let the person who was given this letter come and testify on feedback of this letter. I cannot testify or whether I don't take notes of testing. I just say, okay, fine, this is what's happening. I don't have a piece of paper to write down everything that is. I have trust in my officials. I work with trust. And if the trust is betrayed, my Lord, go and ask them.
Mr. Esau, the question is simple. You yourself, you've given the letter to the PS.
Correct, my Lord.
You yourself, did you ask for feedback from the PS?
My Lord, the witness has answered the question. The first question, and he answered, my Lord, we normally have prayer sessions. During these prayer sessions, I would receive feedback from the PS. I would not be able to recall. I do get a lot of documentation, so he could not recall. That is the answer, unless my learned from wants him to say yes or no. But he gave an answer, and that answer sufficed to his question. As please the court.
Is the answer to say that he cannot recall?
That is what he said, my Lord. He didn't say specifically, but what he basically said is that we would have the offer sessions. I would give her a lot of documents, and I would not be able to recall all the documents that I've gave her and the feedback sessions. That was his testimony.
Your Lordship, it was a very general answer which he gave. It's not specific to my question. My question is very specific to this document. I'm not asking in general.
And also partly because he took it from the angle of the PS.
Yes, Your Lordship.
What the PS did not do, whether came back or not.
Yes.
But you were pressing him on from his angle.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Do you confirm that your answer is to say you cannot recall whether you sought
I
feedback?
cannot recall because of the volumes of documents that I'm getting. I cannot recall, my lord, because there's a lot of activities, there's a lot of documents which was referred to the PS office, so I cannot recall, my lord. Because the PS normally comes back maybe with letters and things like that, but otherwise I cannot recall.
All right. Now, this issue of this document being irregular, which you had sent to the PS, did you consider this to be a serious issue?
My lord, every issue which is coming on my desk is serious. When I was a minister, everything is serious, but I was not a be-all and the end-all of such kind of actions that was taken on this very document.
Okay.
I will never know.
But on the basis of this document, Namgoma Pesca SA was recommended according to you for nomination, and then you wrote a nomination letter based on a document that initially you said that
Correct.
appeared to be irregular.
Correct, my lord, on the 7th of July.
Okay.
I know about that one. On 7th of July, 2 letters were written.
Yes.
One allocation of quota and the other one information to the Minister of Angola. So it doesn't mean that, as I said, I cannot recall. But thank you very much, my lord, that he brought those 2 letters back in the front to say that those letters were. So I can take it maybe as feedback, if that is feedback.
We cannot give you, I'm not the one to give you the feedback. It was for your PS. Maybe let's just continue. At page 8 of that affidavit, at the second bullet point, you see that this witness,
Yes,
yes, you said that he made reference to that document, Business Enterprise Incorporation between Namibia and Angola, where he states that in 2013 a document was compiled called Business Enterprise Cooperation between Namibia and Angola in the fishing sector, which was signed by Mr. Francisco Antonio Santos of Madepa. It bears a space for Mr. Saki Shangala to sign, but was not signed. Okay, the one he received was not signed by him. It was probably signed, but I do not have a copy signed by him in my possession. This document was addressed to 2 ministers involved and indicates that a company called Namgoma Pesca SA has been set up in Angola, and the 2 ministers can issue them with access to the marine resources. And the document is attached as JS8. It says that I was not present when it was signed, but was kept well informed on behalf of Samheri, and they sent me a copy. It must have been James Atkwilipi or Ricardo Gustavo who sent it to me. They were informing me, and I in turn informed Samheri that all was proceeding well with the Namgoma project. You see that?
In 2013, my lord, there was no agreement, there was no MOU. As this bullet talks about 2013, the mere fact that everything was going well. 2013, there was no agreement. There were still negotiations at technical level, shepherded by the PS and the officials of the ministry. I testified on that one.
Yes.
Whatever was informed to this whistleblower, so-called, has never anything to do with me. Because he was saying that informed by James
Atkwilipi or Ricardo Gustavo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but I have never anything to do with this very matter. my lord. As a minister, you have your moral and ethical responsibilities. I cannot be a referee and a player at the same time.
All right. Now I'm just highlighting to you how this whole scheme operated and how the people involved, who the people who were involved are, even in relation to the documents that were submitted to you. At the next page, the first bullet point, there's an indication there that on the 15 to 22 January 2014, a visit to Angola took place, and we met with the Minister of Fisheries in Angola, Ms. Neto, Barros, the Minister of Fisheries in Luanda on Thursday, 16 January 2014. And he refers some minutes which were compiled and attached to his statement. He says, as is evident from these minutes, myself, Sakia Shangala, James Atwilipi, Temsen Atwilipi, Ricardo Gustavo, Sigi Olasen, he had nothing to do with any corruption scheme and was present to see what possibilities Angola had to offer, but he resigned in 2014. This is in reference to Mr. Olasen. Were present as well as Minister Neto Barros, Antonio Santos Francisco Fadepa, and Joa Neto Barros, son of the minister. And he says that it is clear that all the parties that I elaborated on was present already at this early stage, and Saki Shangala made a Namgoma Pesca presentation to the minister and spoke on behalf of Namgoma. You see that?
Correct, my lord.
Yeah, okay. So this government official who you're traveling with was also communicating on, making presentations on behalf of Namgoma Pesca, an entity which you nominated, is that correct?
I nominated the entity, my lord.
Yes.
But nobody from this, as mentioned in here, was my representatives. Nobody, my lord. And there's no evidence to that effect. If somebody has taken, let's say, advantage of having been in a meeting, it does not translate to act on behalf of a political public officer. No, that's all, my lord.
And it goes on further, that during one of these trips, I took a photograph of the Minister of Fisheries of Angola, Ms. Barros Neto, flanked by James and Temson Atwilipi and Ricardo Gustavo. This photograph is attached as JS7. You've seen the photograph as well in the disclosed documents, correct?
I saw it in the disclosed documents.
Yes.
There is no other.
So your in-laws were meeting the Minister of Fisheries of Angola,
Which I have not mandated, whom I have not mandated to represent me, my lord.
and then you eventually signed what you call a fisheries agreement with the same minister.
After it was cleared by the office of the Ministry of Mirko, because I have also records on that, I give evidence to that, and where I was briefed by the PS then to go and sign that very instrument.
All right. Now, in the next paragraph, it says that on the 1st of January 2014, I, in my capacity as Managing Director of Cutlass Seafood, Memoria Seafood, entered into a consultancy agreement with Irongo Clearing and Forwarding CC. You've confirmed that Irongo Clearing and Forwarding CC is an entity where your son-in-law Temson Atwilipi had an interest, correct?
Well, that was disclosed, my lord,
Yes.
by the disclosure.
Yes. And he says this company belongs to Fiti Temson Atwilipi. These agreements relate to services and deliverables. This agreement is attached as per Annex JS11. This dummy agreement was made to cover payments, bribes to him and others, including Mr. Esau, as I understood, through Irongo Clearing and Forwarding, as they were working to get quotas for some area in which they would benefit. You see that? Yes. So what he's alleging here is that this entity, Irongo Clearing and Forwarding, was used to cover bribe payments to you.
My
Are
Lord,
you disputing?
I totally dispute this thing because I have not received any payment from Erongo Clearing, Erongo, what's it?
Clearing and forwarding.
Clearing and Forwarding, CC.
Uh,
Post 1 January 2014. No, not at all, my Lord.
yes.
There was nothing that I've received.
Okay. But, you see, the allegation is that Irongo Clearing and Forwarding was used to cover payments or bribes to you. Now, we've already dealt with the payment that you received by Irongo Clearing and Forwarding of
Correct.
150,000. You confirm you did receive that money.
I did
The claim
receive
was for cattle.
Yes, for cattle, my Lord,
Yes.
in 2012.
And that was a payment directly from the Samheri group of companies
My Lord, SM,
Objection, my Lord.
through
The
Irongo.
fact is, this is not even the evidence, my Lord. It was not directly from the Samheri group of companies, the payment that was made to Irongo Clearing, number one. Secondly, that was a payment that was made in 2012, and Mr. Thames and Hatukilipi did in essence come and testify that there was no such dummy agreements, and that has not been an established fact that there were dummy agreements because they referred to consultancy work that they have done. This is not an established fact. This is just an allegation at this point in time, as it pleases the court.
As much as your objection is founded, the first leg, the latter part was unnecessarily extended. I'll sustain it on the first part aspect of it.
As it pleases the court.
Yes.
As it is, Your Lordship. From the forensic report and the bank statements, that payment of 150,000 came through Irongo Clearing and Forwarding,
my Lord,
Kamandara Trust, from the Samheri group of companies.
payment was made for the cattle from Erongo Clearing. I don't decide for somebody to pay from where and where what is his source of income was. No. His source of income, it's his and his company or CC's. I've never, in fact, inquired about the source of income from Erongo clearing
Yes, it's fine.
and forwarding system. Yeah. So, my Lord, I cannot testify on behalf of Erongo Clearing on the source of income. I cannot testify on behalf of my co-accused, a member of Erongo Clearing. I cannot testify. All what I know I can testify is that we have sold cattle to Fidi and his wife, our daughter.
Yes. Now I'm just highlighting to you that that entity, Irongo Clearing and Forwarding, was being used to cover the bribes from the Samheri group of companies.
I rebut, my Lord.
Allegedly, it was not used. That usage still has to be established. Allegedly, from the record of a court of proceedings, and the other bail records do form part of the proceedings of this particular record. And we know whatever evidence has been tendered on that score before.
Your Lordship, I'm putting it to him as I'm reading from the statement. I cannot be adding things in the statement of the witness, as it plays the court. Okay, he goes on to say that these were payments. Okay, let me finish that statement. There was a part which was left out there. The statement says that this dummy agreement was made to cover payments and bribes to him and others, including Mr. Esau, as I understood, through Irongo Clearing and Forwarding, as they were working to get quotas for Samheri in which they would benefit. These were payments requested and demanded by them to get things moving forward. In addition, I attached the invoices as well as the summary of the invoices paid to Irongo Clearing and Forwarding as per Annex JS 12. The invoices reflect consultancy fee, but this is just a description to make it appear legitimate. No consultancy services were delivered to Cutlass Seafood, Namibia. You see that?
Can
you have
I-
any comment on that?
Yes, my Lord, because this very bullet, the bracket part of a bullet, the last sentence, especially this dummy agreement was made to cover the payments of bribes to him and others. Then in bracket, including Minister Esau, S.I., that's now Johannes, as I understood. So I am not, in fact, that was maybe told to him, but I was not party to such kind of, and there's no proof of any bribe payments paid to me, my lord, through Erongo clearing and forwarding, as they were working to get quotas for summary.
Which page number is that?
Page 10.
Your Lordship.
Page 10, yeah. It flows from 9, the last one, my lord, the last sentence, and it goes on.
Oh,
Page
yes.
10. Yeah.
Yes, I'm there.
As I understood,
Yes.
the author.
For that particular, we'll go through the rest of the
Correct,
statement.
my lord.
It says that on the 8th of March 2014, email communication took place between me and James Atwilipi, marked as Annexure JS 27. He was unhappy about the quota fees payment of Angola not being paid in advance, and we as Samheri had concerns. During the subsequent exchange of emails, he clearly states that both ministers in Angola and Namibia is working to ensure that we gain access to these fishing grounds. This coming week, the ministers have mobilized state machinery to ensure that cooperation is in place. The Joint Permanent Commission was prorogued in the instance of the two ministers of Namibia and Angola. He goes on to say in the last paragraph that in 2014, the wait continued and Atwilipi indicated that 5 million was needed for payments to higher level politicians. He only mentioned Mr. Esau, but did not mention the names of others. But many times indicated that there were some other high level politicians in Namibia to drive through the matter. This amount was subsequently paid from the First National Bank account of Memoria Seafood to the account of Erongo Clearing and Forwarding, a company of Temson Atwilipi, Namibia. In that regard, see invoice, and then it indicates the invoice number, dated 21 July 2014 from Cutlass Seafood, P2Y, to Erongo Clearing and Forwarding. You see that?
I see that, my lord. I was not privy to such communication.
Okay.
Neither did I even, as I once said, direct or instruct anybody to act on my behalf. And I want to say self as the boss.
Oh, okay. So, Mr. Esau, you also appreciate, here you cannot dispute it, that Mr. Temson Atwilipi was receiving certain payments from the Samheri group of companies. Did you dispute that through his entities?
I haven't heard him finish his.
Yes, I don't know why he's objecting before the question is done. Do you dispute that Mr. Temson Atwilipi received funds from the Samheri group of companies through his entities?
My lord, the objection is premised on this is a third party. He cannot confirm or deny whether payments were received. It is not in his purview.
Mr. Biekas, that's an answer to the question.
How is there an answer to the question? You're asking a party whether another party received
He could
money.
know. He could know. What if he was informed by the very same person? So it's for him to say that I'm not privy to that. He can say that, and it can be just one line to say it does not relate to me.
Yes, please, the court.
Yes.
Yes, please, the court. Do you dispute that, Mr. Esau?
I am not, in fact, testifying on behalf of any co-accused. I'm here in my personal capacity.
Okay.
So whatever happens in terms of payments by whoever to whoever is not my baby. I was saying self as the boss.
Yes. And you've
And I
already,
stick to that one.
yes. And you've already acknowledged that this person, your in-law, Temson Atwilipi, had also built homesteads at your farm.
For him and his wife and his kids. He
Yes.
built secondary dwellings, as I have testified.
2 3-bedroom houses, you said?
Yeah, two 3-bedroom for them.
Yes.
Not for my use.
On your farm?
On my farm,
Yes.
not for my use.
And the other, you said your son is using it, yeah?
Correct. It's between them, the kids.
All right. He also goes on there to say that there was another trip in August 2014 to Iceland with the key people of Namibia to meet other top people of some area in August 2014.
My Lord, there was an omission of the last bullet.
Yes.
That was 2014, the 5 million or something like that. Before I could proceed on that one. My Lord,
Yes.
I have not received any money. My name again here appears to have been used that there is money for the minister or for political, high-level political officials. If we read the last bullet,
Yes, I see.
which I have not received anything, and I was not party to such kind of thing. Okay. And that's what I wanted to testify, and I cannot really let them come and testify. Let them come and give evidence to this very matter.
All right. If we go back to where we were, it makes reference, it was Thorsten Ma, Bolvison, James Atuilipi, Sakia Shankala, Temson Atuilipi, Ricardo Gustavo, and myself. He goes on to say the date was 20 to 23 August 2014, but Ricardo Gustavo came later, most likely on the 21st of August. And there were meetings with Thorsten Ma, Bolvinson on the 20th and 22nd of August. At the meeting on the 22nd of August, it was decided amongst James, Thorsten Ma, Bolvinson, and myself that 75% of the real usage fee for the Namgoma quota will be paid from some hairy company in Cyprus, Asia Seafood, to a company of James Atuilipi in Dubai, namely Tuntavala Investment Limited. You see that?
I am with you, my Lord. I am together.
And you saw from the disclosure that there was in excess of $4 million which was paid to Tuntavala Investment Limited.
Where is the 4 million, my Lord?
No, it's not mentioned here. I'm asking if you saw from the disclosed documents.
My Lord, in the disclosed documents, I cannot say the exact amount, but there was, in the disclosed documents, it was said there were payments made in Dubai.
Yes.
Of which I was not even aware of. I never knew about such kind of arrangements.
Okay.
Neither do I know about trips to Iceland as well. I never knew about that. If they were party to arrangements between Angola and themselves, let them come and testify on that one. I am here and testify as a former minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, which was not benefiting from this.
Okay, let's move on, Mr. Esau. In your evidence, you had made reference to your testimony about meeting Mr. Johannes Stephenson at Mr. Temson Atuilipi's home.
Yeah, I happened.
When you took your grandson there.
Correct, my Lord.
In what year was it?
Sure, that was 2015, if I'm not mistaken. 2015, around about October, end of the year.
Okay. And was it an innocent, you just bumped into them?
I bumped into them. It was not planned.
Did you discuss anything concerning fisheries when you met them?
My Lord, I was introduced to the main shareholder of Summary, the old man, I forgot his name, Baldis, I thought this is his name.
Yes.
Torstens or something like
Yes.
that. Yeah, I was introduced to Torstens. And at that meeting, that's where I saw, Johannesson, because he was based here, but I never knew him before. As I've stated, they wanted to see me in 2012. But 2012, I was on my way and they dropped an invitation letter to my PA at that time.
All right.
So 2015, it was very, they took a picture of mine with Torsten.
Yes.
Yeah. And from there, I parted because I was really not even in my proper gear. I was in a tracksuit coming from the farm. I think, if I'm not mistaken, if my memory serves me well, I came from the farm with our grandson.
Yes, what I want to know, what did you discuss with them?
No, I have not discussed anything. All what they told me is that they are Icelandic company called Samari owning this very Heinesta there, and they are in Namibia as well to participate in the industry as well. That's it, in their vessel.
All right.
Not in terms of rights or whatever. No.
Okay. At page 19, at the bottom, he makes reference there that I paid Namgoma from 2014 to 2016. Do you see that?
Page 19.
Yes.
Yes, I'm getting them. I have to page through.
Okay. It's 19 at the bottom, paragraph 18, paragraph 17, bottom.
18, 19. Yes, my lord, I'm there, 17.
Yes, he says at the very bottom, the last, he says I paid Namgoma from 2014. Ask Mr. Siomonji. I paid Namgoma from 2014. Okay, let me read. It appears my colleagues do not have the page 19, Your Lordship.
No, it might come.
It's at the very bottom, right?
I thought I. No, it's mixed in the affidavit I have. It's mixed up. You'll see that there's.
Since they confirmed they have it.
Or they've confirmed now.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Yes.
All right, and then he says I paid Namgoma from 2014 to 2016, and then at the next page, page 20, Thorsten Ma, Bolvinson, and James Atuilipi were the main architects of this beneficial agreement and ensured that it worked. They were the main decision makers. I worked very much on this and played a key role, but under direction and decisions from my boss at the time, Thorsten Ma, Bolvinson. I did sit in many meetings with James Atuilipi, Saki Shangala, and Fiti, Temson Atuilipi, and also Ricardo Gustavo during 2013 and 2014 when all this was planned and prepared, and also in 2015 and 2016 for the purpose of the Namgoma project. These meetings mostly took place at James Atuilipi's residence and sometimes in his workplace in Investec, then in Walvis Bay, when James or Temson were there, but Temson came regularly to meet me and other places. He says, during one of these meetings, I took a photograph of Mr. Minister Esau sitting next to Thorsten Ma Bolvinson, CEO of Samheri, and he attaches the photograph as JS25 as well as the Google Earth image position. Yes, it was taken on 20 October 2015 at the House of Temson in Windhoek. I took the photo and Temson Atuilipi was also present. You've confirmed that these parties were there, yes. And then he says it was a secret meeting. You see that? We hear where you are alleging you're going to drop off your grandson. He says it was a secret meeting between the two people. But matters only discussed, they were in general, like bringing in the vessels, the fishing industry in the Namibia, and other related matters. The most urgent discussion was on assurances that Samheri would have have fishing capacity for required vessels. It was clear from the meetings with James and the others that the main objective was for them to benefit and for other high-profile people, as the Minister of Fisheries, Bernhardt Esau, to benefit as well. He goes on to say that it was also clear from the meetings that they wanted around 25% of the usage fee to be paid in Namibia and around 5% to be paid outside of Namibia, like in Dubai. And James gave the instructions in 2014, 2015, 2016, how much of the quota usage fee for Namgoma should be paid in Namibia and how much should be paid in Dubai. It was around 25% in Namibia and 5% in Dubai, but not fixed. All right. So he speaks about this same meeting where you found them. not where you found them. This secret meeting, as he states in his affidavit, that took place at your son-in-law's house. What is your comment on that?
My Lord, my comment on this, or testimony on this one, first of all, facts are twisted here. Evidences are twisted by Johannes. My Lord, I testified in the month of October 2015 that I went to drop my grandson, the firstborn of our daughter. I testified on that one. Now, in terms of me entering into the house, I saw Europeans, white people in that house. And I was introduced to Baldison, what is it? To the CEO of the Summary Group. And I was told he's the main shareholder of this very group. And at that very meeting, it was not a secret meeting for me to come into that meeting. It was not secret for me. I spent maybe less than 20 minutes or 30 minutes, if memory serves me well. And I was told these are the people who owns this Heinester vessel, which is in Namibia. And in that very meeting, that's where Johannes took a picture, said they want a picture for their CVs. Normally when you come with as a minister, I will take a picture. And that picture was now misused as if I was attending a secret meeting. And even discussing matters like 25%, 75% to be paid where and things. I don't have any clue or knowledge of such kind. If there was a secret meeting, maybe the meeting was after I left. I don't know. But I was not party to any secret meeting as a minister. I cannot. No. This is what was testified by this so-called whistleblower, which needs to come and testify still.
Yes, it's a witness. Your Lordship, with leave of the court, may we adjourn for lunch. I think it's time.
How do you see it? We are making good progress.
Yes, Your Lordship, I'll finalize after lunch.
I'm glad to hear that. We'll adjourn for lunch. We'll be back at 2:30. 2:30. Thank you.